What is up, everybody? If you like the content I put up, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and leave me a comment below letting me know what you think of today's video. Today we're going to start covering how I recommend you should prepare for a Grand Guild Tourney. This will be a three-part series that will be released over the next few days, just in time for this week's tourney. Today's episode, we will be discussing how I believe you should start getting ready, mainly with resource management and general preparation. First, it's important to understand how the Grand Guild Tourney works. Grand Guild Tourney is a PvP-based guild event. It's fast-paced, streaks are turned off, and points are awarded by the amount of trophies that you earn. Win ratio really has nothing to do with your score, so typically it's more effective to just raid faster with more losses than to raid slower with a higher win percent. Because of this, refreshing opponents is a viable strategy since streaks don't matter. It's highly advised to end the current tourney at Legend 2 at a bare minimum. This is so that you can start off the tourney at Legend 3. Basically what happens is at the end of a season you get knocked down to the next level down. So if you end in Legend 2, you'll get knocked down to Legend 3. If you end at Legend 1, you'll get knocked down to Legend 2, and so on and so forth. This will earn you the most points per raid once the tourney starts. So since streaks are disabled, if you don't start there, it's going to be a lot harder to actually catch up and get back into Legend so that you'll be earning the most amount of trophies per raid. In the days leading up to the tourney, it's important to start tracking your resources, mainly gems, gold, and raid tickets. Raid tickets are typically available in the shop, but if you're VIP 5 or higher, usually purchasing gem offers using those for raid refreshes will end up being a better value than actually just purchasing raids. Later on, at a different day, on a later date, I'll be doing a dungeon boss economics video on the shop so that we can look at what deals are good, what deals are bad, but that's going to be sometime at a later date. Also, when I'm referring to gem deals, what I'm more so referring to is not just going here and buying gems. This is typically not a great value even if you're VIP 10. Typically I'm talking about these gems here. These deals here typically are pretty decent value. This $5 for 3,000 is actually the same value as this $100 one. So, and actually that applies to all of these. So these are going to be your better value, and usually getting these instead of just buying straight up raid tickets is usually going to be a better deal. But anyways, moving on. You can also get raid tickets in the Aether shop, which isn't the best value unless you have tons and tons and tons of Aether saved up, which I don't currently. I just spent a lot of it on stamina, but typically that's also another option just in case you run out. Usually what I'll recommend is not to spend any gems in the days leading up to the Grand Guild Tourney if you can avoid it. The same goes for gold, since you can use that for refreshes. What I recommend doing is every single gold campaign dungeon in these gold island. This will earn you a ton of gold. The next thing I do recommend doing is going to the shop, going over to this gold section, and then watching these gold for... It's not going to let me. I didn't realize that if I clicked on it, it would automatically do it. But anyway, so I do recommend watching those videos. Those will give you free 30,000 gold. If you watch it 3 times per day, that'll give you 90,000 gold. Any bit of gold helps, so definitely go do that. And also go over to items, go over to the right, and then do this 50 stamina for watching an ad. You can do that once per day, and that'll give you enough stamina to go do all those gold islands without losing any of your stocked up stamina. Lastly, make sure you're also completing the tower every day for gold and gems. I do believe it also gives you stamina, but I don't remember anymore. It's been a while since I've done it. But especially if you're lower on gold and gems, definitely make sure you're completing that. It only takes about 10 minutes to complete, and it'll help you a lot when you're getting ready and saving up resources. In part 2 of this video, we're going to be discussing attack and defense teams. So before we can do that, it's important to look at what you've got to work with. It's also important to decide what attack strategy you want to take for the tourney. Do you want to just use one team over and over again with complete disregard for losses and just kind of keep pounding away? Or do you want to take a slower approach and use different attack comps for different defenses? In my opinion, the best strategy is somewhere in the middle. If there's a defense I know is super difficult for my roster to beat based on the heroes that I have and the gems that, and the runes that I have, typically I'll just refresh it. Even if it costs me gems, for me it's worth refreshing something that I know is either going to take a really long time to beat, or it's a very big toss-up that I'll actually be able to beat it. Aside from defenses that I know that I just can't beat, I try not to overthink teams too much. It's not really time effective to be sitting there trying to figure out how to beat each and every single team. Normally, I would check all the runes, see what I'm working against, plan against that. But realistically, for Grand Guild Tourney, I typically don't do that. I'll just go in, I'll hope for the best, and I'm not going to stress too much if I lose. Typically, the only thing that I'm for sure going to be checking is to make sure that Arayla doesn't have 3 foresights, because that will determine what attack team I take, but that's going to be discussed more in part 2 of this video. Lastly, it's important to be ready to adapt to random changes. Dungeon Boss usually puts some sort of meta shift into play during the Guild Tourney to spice things up. This includes, buffing certain types of heroes, debuffing certain types of heroes, adding random buffs to all heroes, like one time they added, some type of shield over all defenders and stuff. So just be prepared for something like that to happen, and be prepared to strategize with your guild or whoever you play with to decide how you can shift the teams that you were already planning on using to fit that meta. In the past, a lot of times, usually the meta teams don't really change. Even though they try to change up what's going to be meta, usually it really doesn't affect it that much. A lot of times you can just end up running the exact same teams, even with the added buffs and debuffs and so on and so forth. Also, you're going to want to use and plan boosts accordingly. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, typically during these events, there's boosts that are offered for like 2,000 gems or something to that effect that essentially will give you like double trophies for a 2-hour period of time. But what ends up happening is the amount of gems that it takes to buy a trophy boost in the shop will usually get you about the exact same amount of trophies that you would get by using it for like raid refreshes. So if you don't buy the boost for 2,000 gems, if you took those exact same 2,000 gems and used it to get more raid tickets for refreshes, it ends up typically being the exact same amount of trophies overall. Unless, of course, you have thousands of raid tickets saved up, then obviously your best bet is just going to be using them for a boost. But my point is, the boost just speeds stuff up, but it doesn't actually at the end of the day end up giving you really a lot more. You still have to end up putting in a ton of time, and realistically, if you are willing to just put in time, you don't necessarily have to do the boost, but the price that you pay for not getting the boost is that you have to play a lot more. So if you're a lot shorter on time, just make sure that you dedicate that span of time, or else it is kind of a waste of gems. Like I mentioned, part 2 of this video is going to be going over attack and defense compositions. I'm going to give you some preset teams that you should get ready for, and ruined up for the tourney. So what I would recommend is, in preparation for part 2, let's go over who I think will be very, very important as far as what heroes are going to be important, so you can start getting them ready and start taking a look at them before I upload part 2. In my opinion, the most important heroes for this Grand Guild Tourney specifically are going to be Zulk, Malice, Arya, Jhin, Solaris, Leo, Lily, Rayla, Therend, Pontifex, Darius, Yan Lao, and Grandor. So go take a look at those heroes, see what you've got them ruined with, and if you have heroes that are not those heroes, I would recommend maybe taking off any very strong runes you have and getting them ready so we can start ruining them up in part 3 of the video. But first, I will see you in part 2. What is up, everybody? If you like the content I put up, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and leave me a comment below letting me know what you think of today's video.